They're the heart and soul of this powerhouse offensive game that they have. Of course, Cuba, as you said earlier in the promos, they were a loser first time out to the Chinese, but since then they have been on a roll, and it's been the regulators that have been doing it mostly. But the Japanese got something to say here too. They have been developing. They're coming along very nicely, and later in the broadcast I'll be rummaging around through some of the stats to show you a trend that I find quite interesting and may pop up again today.
So the action about to get underway here at the University of Hawaii Hall. And as he was mentioning earlier, the Japanese coming into this match without a win from their previous two full competitions in Sendai and in Osaka, still winless in 6 matches, and the Cubans are really going strong. And there is Mr. Bela Horbo from Hungary, the first referee for today, and he'll be assisted by Mr. David Smith from Australia, as we're about to see the Cubans, who have really gone on strong since the opening day defeat to China when they surprisingly crashed 0-3. They've won the next 5 matches to set up this showdown against Japan. And the first action coming there from the Japanese, and that is Ikumi Okake.
Actually, the player I think you need to watch today is, if we go according to plan, is that lefty Obayashi. She hits fast. She got low back sets. She'll sprint down the net for wrong side sliders, and she's really the main threat for this club. Obayashi, she's number 2 on your screen there.
Well, just as the Cubans have the regulars, or the regulators, as Steve prefers to call them, Torres and Bell, so watch out for Obayashi. She's the mainstay of the Japanese side. Number 2, 29-year-old Obayashi. Yomilka Ruiz there, pounding the ball down. As we're into the opening set here.
Some of these clubs have been using these liberos in sparing fashion, but I think the Japanese have a little different idea about it. You can see one out there right now. And we're looking at number 11, Sayaki Mika. Actually, she's all over the floor. She's one of the most popular players in Japan. She's got this shoulder torque hit style when she goes after the ball, so she's perfectly suited for the Japanese libero defense.
Nice setup again, and this time from the left. The ball was sent down by Yumilka Ruiz.
There's not much you can say about these Cubans. Gold medal winners twice. The last 2 successive Olympic events. They're just individually so talented. You're going to see a lot of secondary, second line spiking going on. They'll take that spike from anywhere. Of course, the regulators out there, Regla Torres and Regla Bell, they just have no fear. They're not intimidated by anybody. They'll go after everybody, and on the right day, they're tough.
Nice play again by Obayashi. And she chopped up the side out for the Japanese team. Taking serve, Obayashi. A big one coming down from Espero, and well blocked again by Ogake. Tajimi also in there at the far end of the Japanese half. And that serve by Obayashi was not good. Cubans back in control. Another player we will have to watch out for in the Japanese team will be the 22-year-old Maki Fujiyoshi, along with Obayashi. They form a formidable twin strike force for the Japanese team. Although the Cubans are in control here at the moment, leading by 2 points. Yoshi again, back to the back court. Espero, and the ball has been sent out. Side out, back to Japan.
Well, the Japanese club has been developing overall. They have had a lot of problems. There's no mistake about that. It's a pretty well-known fact. But they're trying to group it together, and I think they're starting to do some things out there. I think they're starting to find their game. They've changed coaches 4 times in the last year. The most recent now is Kuzuwa. They seem to be stabilizing somewhat.
Let's see whether the Japanese can reverse their fortunes here in the Honolulu pool of the World Women's Grand Prix. So we see the player I was talking about earlier, Fujiyoshi, powering the ball down back into the Cuban side. The other teams here in this tournament, Netherlands and the United States, of course the US will be quite a force to be reckoned with here on home ground.
Actually, I stand corrected on that. In the last 4 seasons, they've had 4 coaches as opposed to the last year. But nevertheless, that's still pretty disconcerting for a team that took pride in being well prepared and actually was a gold medal winner several years back. Seems like long history now.
Here in the Grand Prix competition, the Japanese don't have a record which they can boast about, but the Cubans, of course, have did very well, although last year they finished behind the United States as overall champions.
Yeah, the Japanese did win the gold, as I said, in 1976, and from then on out, the best they could do is 84. They won bronze in 92. They finished 5th, but this year they weren't anywhere. They weren't even out of the gate. Nobody could find them.
Yumika Ruiz, a great block there at the nets from that effort, and it's Cuba who lead 5-2 here in the University of Hawaii Hall. We'll be back in a moment. And the Cubans carving out a 5-2 lead over Japan, the opening set here. The 4 teams vying for the Bank of Hawaii Cup and the 3rd week of competition of the World Women's Volleyball Grand Prix circuit, and Ogaki sending the ball down and side out to Japan. Another error in the serve again, the second time that the Japanese have chalked up the errors, and this time it was through Nakatomi. First was by Obayashi. And Obayashi there sending the ball back to the Cuban half, but as Steve very gladly, and I will use what Steve has coined the Great Wall of Cuba up there to foil the Japanese attempt.
Yeah, we first saw that wall really come into play up in Beijing. I guess they picked the right place to use it. You just saw it again there with Torres and Bell coming up. Once they get up there and get position, it's going to be tough. But, you know, I'll tell you something. Don't kid yourself. The Japanese here are not in size really that far under the Cubans. They're almost matched up even as far as height. I think the biggest player over on the Japanese side is Maki Fujiyoshi at 1.84. Fernandez comes in at 1.85, so you don't really have that much difference. It's skill and talent that's making the difference for the Cubans, and individual talent.
And of course, the never-say-die attitude of the Japanese team, which Coach Kazuwa is so proud about, that will come into play in this match. The libero, Saiki. Cubans still in control. Apatomi, and it's
Obayashi.
Obayashi was the last player to send the ball down.
And you're going to be looking for her to do a lot of spiking from the side, especially when she's in that position. The lefty's got it. She's having a lot of pace on the ball. Of course, there's nobody in the world got the pace of spikes that the Cubans do. They're just way beyond Mount Everest. They're up there on the top.
Good block the first time round by the Japanese. But the second time round, Yumika Ruiz found a corner at the far end of the Japanese half.
And she goes right through 3 defenders, as we clearly see at 1.76. Not an easy thing to do. Gets a cross-court winner.
And the Japanese replying with one of their own from this 22-year-old Fujiyoshi. Nice setup, and that was the full another spike down from Akero.
Guerrero come in on a quick set. She took it right over. That's a patented shot for her. She enjoys executing from that side in particular.
Nakatomi setting up with Fujiyoshi again. Guerrero and Yobayashi was trying to return the ball, but the point has already gone the Cubans' way. Foul they called on one of the Japanese players. 8-2 with the Cubans leading by 6 points here in the opening sets. And as we go back to the result from the Sendai pool, when Cuba beat Japan by 3-1, so the Japanese put up a good fight there, and I'm sure we can expect them to put up a similar good fight against the Cubans here today.
Well, the stats are starting to show it. I'm telling you, there's some things going on right now. Let me give you some factors here. I love to rummage around with the stats. Stats will tell you things, and here's one that's really a biggie. When it comes to diggers' percentages, the top 10, you have got Ogaki at number 1, Nagatomi at number 2, Obayashi number 9, and Tajimi number 10. What does that tell you? It tells you that this team is gelling. They're starting to play some good unit defense because you just got 4 out of the top 10 in the digging classification. Not bad. That tells you they're starting to show some class.
Whether they'll be able to trouble the Cubans remains to be seen. Now the lead widens to 7 as Torres sends the ball back into the Japanese side. And it's sent out again by Asako Tajimi. Nice reverse setup. And Tajimi, good heights, good power. She serves for Japan, looking for their 3rd points. And the Cubans immediately replying. Regular bell, the southpaw.
Another little stat to interest the fans out there. On receivers, guess who's number 1? Obayashi. Motoko Obayashi sitting right behind her, number 4, Ogaki Igumi. So it tells me, again, that defensive side is really shoring up for them. Now what's missing, and what we need to start seeing are some stats that come up to show you that they're developing a solid offense, because if they can team it up, they've got both sides of the coin.
Twice the Japanese have not been able to clinch points from their serves, as Melenis Costa takes back the serve here for Cuba, and that will be the first error in serve from the Cubans from Regular Bell.
And as you would expect, as far as the attackers, in the top 10 out there right now, you got Regla Bell and Regla Torres. Actually, reverse that. Torres is number 1, and guess where Regla Bell is, Take? She's number 2. But then right in there, ranked at number 5, is the lady we referred to, Obayashi, Motoko Obayashi. So the stats are starting to tell a little bit of a story here. They're talking about a team that has had its troubles, but they're starting to find their way here. And I'm really, frankly, surprised they haven't had a win notched yet. I think it's coming. You can expect it to see it down the line. I would hope, anyway, that they can, because I think they're working real hard as a unit to get it. Maybe it'll happen soon.
Well, if not against the Cubans, then perhaps the next match against the United States, or the 3rd match here in Honolulu against the Netherlands.
No reason it shouldn't happen today. There certainly do. They're not playing like a team here that's never won a game in this tournament, are they? They're talking it up. They're doing the right things.
So a point there for Cuba as they go for a technical break with the score at 10-2. We'll see you in a while. To continue the action here in the first set, with the Cubans taking a good 10-2 lead over the Japanese. Ana Fernandez serves straight into Nakatomi. Nice setup there by Ito. Obayashi trying a dig shot, which didn't quite fool the Cubans.
Good free ball to the other side. Again, here comes the digs. You see the stats talking to you here. Japanese are not intimidated by this club at all. You can see it. There's just absolutely nothing out there except the win-win mentality operating.
Obayashi, the error there, presenting the Cubans with yet another point. And this time, come charging from the back, Asako Tajimi. Again, didn't find its targets. So 3 points are all the Cubans need to close up this first set. Naomi Ito.
She came up there, look at this. Nice little short set, and right up there, well-planned play. Obviously coming up from that baseline to do her number. And that's that kind of quick stuff that they can do very, very well. But then there's that power, again, coming from the regulators. They just don't know how to do anything except take you out with fastballs in the corner. That's what it looks like to me, some of those big spikes that they can hit. And any one of them can do it. I've been talking about the 2 regulars, but let me tell you, what makes this team 2-time Olympic champion is the fact that it can come from anywhere, anytime.
And the last point was won by Tasmanis Aguero. So the Japanese, again, they must make full use now of this serve. Only 2 points so far.
Great serve. That ball had top spin on it. Ogaki just took it around. I actually thought, and I think most of the couple thousand fans that have shown up for this match probably thought it went out, but it stayed in. There's that top spin.
Second time round for Ogake. This time well met. Torres. Malenis Costa. And again, the ball found space at the back. Mika Ruiz.
Well, you see what I mean about spike power coming from anywhere on the map. She's 1.76 meters. That's all she stands, but I swear she looks like she's 6'4".
Mika Ruiz certainly has been very impressive in the Cubans' play in the past 5 matches.
You know, these clubs, like we've seen it in some of the others, Chinese have a better unit overall. But they're down to one spiker who does a lot of the work, and this is what I think one of the dimensional problems is with the Japanese. They need to open up and have some more threats out there, something like what you have with the Cubans. Unbelievable. All 6 of them can do it.
This is the chief of it all, Regla Torres. Even as I speak, she has wasted at serve.
Well, you know, of course, we've talked about the Cubans. They've got that type of mindset where they get ready for the big games. Where they have little trouble is when they get up against these clubs that they know they can own, well, with just minimal effort. I'm not saying that's happening now. They're pretty much owning this game, but there is a mental side of this game that I don't think that if they're suspect, it would be there.
Again, the Japanese have wasted the chance to collect another point. And Naomi Ito with a cross-running spike, which didn't quite work out. Again at the net to block Regla Bell. Cubans now needing only 2 points to wrap up this first, and now just a point away from winning this first set.
Cuban club having it pretty much their own way, doing it with nothing extraordinary except just good, exceptional spiking power from virtually all the angles. Pretty consistent. Mentally look like they're hanging in.
Nice sting shot, and just went out of play, and so Fujiyoshi's efforts meant that the point went to Cuba.
Well, the Japanese look like pudding that hasn't settled yet, don't they? They just need a little time to harden and to surface up. Let's see what they can do this next game.
So 15-3, first set to the Cubans. Stay tuned for set number 2. As the second set here about to get underway, with Aki Nakatomi serving now for the Japanese. Here at the University of Hawaii Hall on the opening day of competition, the 3rd week now of the Women's World Volleyball Grand Prix 1996. 15-3, and even as the set about to get underway, we can see shouts coming from Nobuchika Kazuma, the Japanese coach.
I've been noticing he's pretty outspoken coach. He's not the type that he's like the fellow from the Soviet or from the former Soviet Union, Russian. He just gets out there and he talks to his team. You got different types of personalities. The American coach, very understated. Liskovich, very understated. Doesn't show a lot of emotion. Perdomo, not necessarily a real boisterous sort of guy.
Japanese will have to play with a lot more urgency than they did in the first, when they lost 15-3 in 18 minutes.
They're changing their defensive structure a little bit, opening it up a little bit. She hit the ball long, Costa did. Incidentally, Costa on this club is arguably probably the best setter that they've got. Watch how she does her number during this game.
2 Cubans going for the ball. Finally sent out by Torres. And the return falling nicely back into the Cuban side.
And you can see Obayashi, simply by her nonverbal expressions, is one of these type of, or her verbal expressions, is one of these type of players who just inspires you to play to your best. She's always got a smile. She plays her very best all the time.
Mika Ruiz again at the left-hand side of the Cuban half, causing considerable damage in the first, and no doubt she will continue to do likewise here in the second. It's the Cubans who now go looking for the first points. They're in the second set. Nicely touched out by Torres, but immediately the referee, Mr. Sandro from Hungary.
It's interesting on that libero. If I understood the rules right, she's not supposed to be going past that baseline, yet we saw her right up there on the net. picking up that dig.
Well, that is a winner now from Asako Hajime. The 1m79 tall Hajime going quick guns there and beating the two Cuban blockers.
She opted to go through them and did.
Great revival of fortunes here by the Japanese at the start of the second set.
Yeah, they're like a spring, you know. They just bounce back. There's not much that's going to intimidate them, including this very heavy Cuban club.
And this time, Regla Torres sending the ball down with resounding power. And Torres says it's time we put a stop to the Japanese piling up the points. Let's see whether the Cubans can respond with the first point of their own here in the second set. Nice stick shot. Ribeiro comes and she touches the ball. The Japanese girls were in confusion.
Well, you know, we just saw Regla Torres, number 10, hit that big spike. She was just unmerciful against the Chinese when we watched them to that 3-0 win, Tay. And she looked like she's back in the groove here tonight. She missed on her serve, but gee whiz, she can really nail that spike.
Regla Torres, second error in serve already, which enables the Japanese then to gain back the serve. And Ana Fernandez.
She's grabbing her arm like she had a little bit of a pull there when she came around on it. It was a big spike right down the center.
Cubans back in serve. The spike coming down there. And the Cubans claim it's their ball, and it will go the decision for the Cubans.
Japanese starting to show just a little more quickness than we saw the first game, and it's starting to pay dividends. They are able to spike through, and they've had a couple shots right past the Cuban defenders, and it's helped.
Costa coming in from the back. Nice stick shot. Costa again. Regla Bell into the net. Too strong.
Yeah, it was too strong, but you know what? You got to give credit to number 11, Saiki Mika. She came up. We talked about her earlier, her ability to get all over that court and impress everybody with her digs, and there it was. You saw her kick them in the point. Unfortunately, they got spiked out.
So the Japanese libero takes a seat as Naomi Ito comes back. Finally balanced match here, the start of this second set. Another big, powerful spike from Regla Bell.
Yeah, the Bell and Torres, you know, they're like big flywheels. They just start rolling and rolling and rolling. As they get more and more into rhythm, you start seeing all these showers of spikes coming at you, and it makes it really hard for a club, or a team, I should say, to defend against something like that.
Maki Fujiyoshi delivering one with great panache down here and straight there into the body of Bell, and there was a winner for Fujiyoshi.
Big left hand spike, angled hard, very, very difficult to react, but when you do that to the Cubans, they want to play in your face, and they come right back. And who did it this time? Fernandez.
1m85 tall, a big, powerfully built Ana Fernandez, along with Malenis Costa, two of the biggest girls in the Cuban lineup. Piero setting it up again beautifully for Yumilka Ruiz.
I mentioned to you earlier, 1.76. Anybody believe it? Nobody in the house would on a spike that intimidating. That ball had just too much pace on it. No way to play it.
Naomi Ito into the net.
They're trying to keep that serve power low. They're trying to keep it play it in such a way to reduce the opportunity for them to set on them and spike with that kind of tenacity.
The other Japanese libero, Kazumi Nakamura, replacing Naomi Ito here. Regla Torres rallying her team around as the Japanese providing resistance here in the second set. Not one-way traffic, unlike the first. And the Cubans hammered out a 15-3 win.
I don't need to tell you who that one is, do I, Tay? That's got the earmarks of none other than Regla Bell.
That one looks good, but it's caught out. So for the third time, we see an error in serve from regular Torres. Esquero. Torres, a long ball. Nakamura. Nice set, skin, going for the tussle. And it goes the way of the Japanese. Tasmaris Akero. Just touching the hand there of the Japanese player on the way to going there for the free ball. And making amends second time round.
And on that last play, what you saw was, might as well have been a Cuban tidal wave, Cavanetti. You had no less than 3 players after the set getting ready. Any one of them could do what she did. They opted to go with the quick set and spike and did it. The Japanese, you see the heart they've got. They've answered with it. Tajimi coming back and saying, no, it's my turn. So this is what I like about this club. They're staying close. They're knotting it up. They're going to try to knot it up or maybe build on that lead a little bit now, see how they do.
Costa and powering down straight into the body of Obayashi from Ana Fernandez.
Costa noted to being a big setter, but she's also showing that she's got the spike power. So much variety, so much capability to hurt you.
Now the Cubans still searching for point number 4, but the ball was always bouncing around and eventually fell kindly for the Japanese. Fujiyoshi back in serve. Torres, nice push there from Fernandez. Back sets Obayashi. And the ball with some spin there as it comes crashing back into the Cuban half.
Japan very slowly building that lead, getting their confidence. And as I say, every time they get out on the court with these world-class teams, they may get their noses bloodied, but they're coming back away, and they've got a notebook full of stuff that they need to work on, and they're learning. And this is a quick learning club. We've seen that already, despite the fact that they're winless.
Well, the serving from the Cubans today has been particularly poor. 3 times an error from Torres, and that time from Fernandez. 4 times in all, we've seen the Cubans giving away and not able to make use of the opportunity to chalk up the points. And Melenis Costa sending the ball down. Fujiyoshi feels that that call should go Japan's way.
And I tell you what, I kind of liken this side, this team, Cuba, to something like the Dream Team. A lot of individual talent there, and sometimes they do get out of sync. And when that happens, those are opportunities for the lesser talented teams to be able to come in there and build points on them. And we may see a little of that happening now.
Well, earlier on, we saw a little error there in the graphics, which states that Japan has notched up point number 5. They certainly have not. Nice sets by Nakatomi. There she is again. The Cuban blockers led again by regular Bell. 4 points all.
Wherever Torres and Bell are, you got action. As far as blockers, Torres is ranked #1. She's the best in this entire competition when it comes to blocking percentage and successes.
Obayashi with a dink shot that didn't quite work out, and that gives the Cubans their 5th point here in this second set. 5-4 to Cuba. We'll be back in a moment. Right here in the second set, the urgency that I was talking about, which the Japanese have to show in the second set, coming to the forefront as Perdomo, the acting head coach of Cuba, looks on. 5-4.
Japanese sure showing signs that they're just, as I said, not intimidated by this very talented club. They come back around again with some spike power of their own, and here comes a big jump serve. Nice top spin to it.
Nice set by Obayashi, sending it for Fujiyoshi. Costa, not delivered with great power that time by Torres. Ruiz, and now it's Akero. Nakamura, libero, did well. Fujiyoshi again. First long rally we're seeing of this match. Regular Bell, straight into Fujiyoshi. It's Fujiyoshi on the offensive, and the ball is good by the Japanese number 16.
You know what I'm seeing here now? I think this is the first real demonstration we had about all these stats we've been rummaging around in. That was just outstanding defensive play, forcing the action to the Cubans, who finally erred. Unfortunately, the inexperience, they turn around again. No sooner I said that, and Ogaki misses the shot. But there are signs there. It's like breaks in the clouds. You can see that unit starting to work much, much tighter. And they're a very happy club. They got a lot of dancing feet out there, and Obayashi's the big reason. The lefty showing some class.
29-year-old Obayashi she'll remain a very important member of the Japanese team for a good more years to come.
And that doesn't surprise me. That block we saw Tajimi just pull, she's ranked number 5 in this overall tournament. So there again, one more piece of the puzzle they're starting to put in place.
Lots of space, which Ana Fernandez was able to exploit. 5-6.
Japanese are looking like winners. They're trying to play like winners, and they're acting like winners.
Cubans knowing they have a match here in the second set. And Tajimi again with a big right-handed spike. Contrasting moods there of the two coaches. Soft-spoken Perdomo and the very vociferous Kuzuwa.
And we see, you look at, you know, the Cubans tell you stories by the expressions on their face. When they're really into it, they're a different kind of club in terms of their physical expressions. When they're just sort of cruising, they sort of give you that cruise look. Boy, we saw them in total disconnect, didn't we? The first time we saw them play, they didn't even look like they were on the floor.
Good 3 points, chopped up by the Japanese. Put to waste that time, the service.
Yeah, they're their own worst enemy. They got to clean up those unforced errors. They get a little bit of a rhythm, and then all of a sudden they stumble.
Regular bell. The Cubans and the ball just kindly touching the line. And indeed, it's a side out back to Japan. Nice dubbing there by the Cuban Atlantis Tasmado Aguero. 5-8. Nakamura. Nakatomi again, sending it for Ogaki. This time, the Cubans fooled by the ball as what's going out. Naomi Ito.
Not a lot of power from Ito, but excellent placement. She was able to angle the ball to that area in the secondary area where there was some opening and got the point out of it.
Two blockers there, the Japanese Ito and Tajimi, unable to counter the ball from Malenis Costa. And that is the 5th time we've seen the Cubans wasting their serve. Comes at a particularly bad point in time here in the second set when the Cubans are reeling from the Japanese pressure and trailing by 3 points, and now trailing by 4.
Well, you know, again, it just doesn't surprise me. Another little factoid for you. We've been talking about Costa's ability as this world-class club to be able to set so well. She's ranked 6th in this overall competition. But guess what, Tay? Nagatomi is sitting over there ranked 4th. She's in other words, the 4th best setter in all of this competition. Here again, all those little pieces coming together start to show a team that is showing signs of gelling, and they're doing it here.
Regular bell with the 6 points there for the Cubans. Don't write off the Cubans just yet. 6-9. Torres again, and that will be another point.
No, they've got afterburner in their team. You know what I mean by that? They just hit that flame and they're gone. You know, they're like the Starship Enterprise. You know, boom, they're just there. They explode on you, and nobody yet has been able to tame them except maybe for the Chinese. They've had some luck at them.
And there is another explosive piece of action from Regular Bell. And all too soon, the Japanese have allowed the Cubans to creep back. Just when they were leading comfortably by 4 points, it's now down to 1.
When a team gets that kind of built-in power behind it, you just keep wondering when.
It was a poor serve, a jump serve there from Ikumi Ogake.
For the first time we hear Coach Perdomo talking it up with his club.
All credit then to the Japanese for taking the serve back. Nice setup. Nakatomi, and in comes Obayashi.
Quick running spike. She was able to pull it over with that lefty. She angled it very nicely. That's just power coming back at you. Been noticing something here? Every time the Japanese are able to execute, the Cubans waste no time coming right. It almost like it inspires them to start showing that next level. They just keep flaming it up.
That's what the Cubans have been successfully doing over the last few points. They've chalked up 3 on the trot. But Tajimi makes sure that the equalizing point does not come just yet. Torres. Costa. Good defense by Obayashi. Ito. Nakatomi setting up for Fujiyoshi. And now Bell. Coming in then from the back. Tajimi. Good rally again in progress. Ito to Fujiyoshi. Nice set. And this time the blockers from Japan, they must be thoroughly very, very disappointed with that.
Big power all the way around, wasn't it? Cubans finally prevailed, but the Japanese showing it. In that series there, you saw for the first time some effort on the part of the Japanese to start doing some spiking from further out. I think that's a dimension of their game they do need to introduce. They're a little bit too predictable. I don't know who it was. Maybe we'll pick it up again. They'll try it again, but it was impressive. It was a really, really well executed shot. It didn't earn him, but it looks like a good trend for him.
Cubans have got to find a cure for the errors in serve. 6 of them so far. And Ana Fernandez powers the ball down to take the side out back to Cuba.
You serve them short, you're going to pay a price. There's no way out of it if you serve the Cubans short.
Setting high here again for Ruiz. It wasn't delivered with great power, but right enough there. Lots of space for her to send the ball down into the Japanese camp.
Nice little touch shot. Saw the open spot. Didn't figure she had to really super hit it. She just took it light.
And this time it's the soft touch there from the Japanese Ito. 9 points all here in the second set.
See, they've got a rhythm now. I'm talking about the Japanese. They're trying to do some different things out there. This coach is experimenting. He's moving players in and out. But basically, you're starting to, at least I'm starting to feel that they're starting to gel a little bit more. That that pudding's starting to settle a little bit. They're playing a lot more sensible.
The Japanese coach Kuzuma has brought in a very experienced player, Chieko Nakanishi, the 30-year-old, wearing the number 1.
You see on that replay there, you had 2 spikers potentially coming. That freezes those defensive players in place. They're not sure they're going to do a frozen rope on them or come in cross court. They went cross court.
Still 9 all as that error in serve continues here for the Cubans.
Nobody's been able to answer that quick set as far as I can tell. And Aguero has been doing it pretty consistently. That once they get that quick attack going, the Cubans, they're very, very hard to anticipate and play against.
Again, the Japanese refusing to take it lying down as Obayashi sends the trademark left-hand spike back into the Cuban side. 9 all it remains. Costa and powering away now, Regla Bell.
Again, you got that double spike offense over on that far side. Looking, how would you like to be looking at this? You got, who is that, Regla Bell and her partner, I think Torres over there. The Reglalators, you don't know which one's coming.
And that is a careless error there from the Japanese, Fujiyoshi.
It'd be kind of like getting stuck in the middle of a highway and 2 Mack trucks are coming at you.
As the players get a technical timeout. Cubans leading by the slimmest of margins, 10-9. There'll be more action. Have really provided the Cubans with stiff resistance. The scoreline of 9-10. And after they have led for the majority of the second set, as many as a 4 points gap separating the two teams. Now the Cubans have come on strong in the last couple of minutes. They've gone in front again, 10-9. And for a change, a good serve from the Cubans.
It came through. Regla did her thing, had a nice low serve. Now she's moved them up by 2. Japanese can't let much more happen because they've played well up to this point. They need to hold up. I think they just gave up another one. No, I think it's side out. They were able to hit a player's hands. So the Japanese now have a chance to get into it. They're only down by 2. They need to exercise some real good unit strength here and get the proper spike, preferably highly angled.
Nakatomi is back in action for Nakanishi.
Yeah, well, Regla Bell wasn't listening to me, obviously. She would have none of that. She just come back with her patented shot off that side.
Good serve and very beautifully executed.
Quick little dink shot coming right back over again by Nakatomi.
Japanese still trailing by 2. And this time the error in serve comes from this lady Asako Tajimi.
Just inexperienced. They just haven't had enough of that hardcore volleyball exposure. I think this is helping them.
Nice dink shot. And that one had the Cubans fooled all the way. Asmaris Aguero.
And when I watch these Japanese club, I think like I'm on an escalator, you know, going the wrong direction. You go up one, you come lose one. You go up one, you lose one. They need to get some rhythm because you just can't do that with a club with a team like the Cubans. They just simply are just too much power for you. They're going to start going into afterburner here, and it's going to be all over.
Fernandez. Obayashi again, the Japanese replying then with those soft dinks, which really confuse the Cubans.
Same player.
Nakatomi. And the recipient again, the same, Aguero, over on the Cuban side. Torres showing what power means, but the Japanese blockers responding perfectly to that.
You see 3 coming up there, anticipated very well, and not even somebody like Torres could get through that wall.
Ruiz. Fortunate then, the left hand of Torres was able to deflect the ball back into play, and trying there for a cross-court spike, which didn't quite work out for Yumika Ruiz.
That time it was Japanese dig power that set it up, and we're knotted up at 11 all.
Coach Kazuwa trying to urge his team on to win this second set, tie things up at 1 set all. Cubans still coming at them. Torres going down there. And the ball coming off the hands of Aki Nakatomi. Fujiyoshi packing par every time she comes charging in from the defense line back to the attack line.
Fujiyoshi showing her some power here. I'm pretty impressed with it, actually. We're seeing the tail end of the play where the Cubans close it out, but that's that secondary line or position back there that I was talking about, where some of that spike power, they need to start bringing those players up a little bit more aggressively. If she can do that, then you've got some balance between her and Obayashi, and then you get the Cuban thinking. Then you get to wondering, okay, you know, like a lot of times when we saw Sun Yi against China, one of the things they became very predictable about was that you figured Sun Yi was going to do it until Li Yan started getting into the game. It seems to me, from what we've seen tonight, Fujiyoshi might be the likely candidate to put some balance into this offensive lineup. Certainly they've got the defensive side worked out, but see, the stats already show it. But the offensive side seems to be a little bit weak and suspect, and of course there is that old bugaboo of inexperience. They just don't have a lot of consistency yet. There's a good defensive play.
But of course the Cubans, if we're talking about the Chinese, they really proved their class in that last match in the Beijing pool, but they completely whitewashed the Chinese 3-0. Looks like they're continuing the good form here in Honolulu. So the hard work is for the Japanese to do, and they managed to come away with a winner there from Tajimi.
And Tajimi, as I said, she's ranked 5 in this tournament for block power, so the ball is going where it should, and she's doing what the stats say she should.
Costa setting it out perfectly, and the dive there from Nakatomi. Aguero's angled ball was too much for her. Now the ball just going wide from the serve from Ruiz. Still hope there for the Japanese. They've got to hang on.
This is a big point. They've got to really get this point to stay knotted, because it's a 1 or 2 point difference. This late can be a killer.
Set up here for Fujiyoshi. The block was good, and so was the retrieve from Nakatomi. And a big plant down there from Obayashi.
That one was right according to Hoyle. I mean, you know, you couldn't have asked for a better setup. Obayashi's telling her partners, thanks for the shot. Here it comes. A great dig that's been keeping him in this game all the way through. Here comes the set. No, we're not going to see the end of it, but Obayashi took it right down, frozen roped it right down the side, found a weakness in the defense and locked it. And that's what I'm saying. I think you're starting to see some offensive, what's the word I'm looking for, Tay? It's a camaraderie. It's a team mentality. It's an instinct that starts to happen when teams start to learn each other, when players start to learn each other movements. Very common in team sports, and I'm glad to see it starting to happen here with the Japanese, no matter how this comes out.
Let's see whether they can carry it through to the end of this second set. Costa, here comes the big spike to Torres. This time it comes for Bell. Sending it straight down. Fujiyoshi had no reply.
There's nobody on the Japanese team that has that type of individual talent. No getting around it. They've got to make it happen in other ways.
Again, nice block, but Fujiyoshi finally found the winner as the ball spins round and lands out of play. Side out back to Japan.
And she's emerging as a factor here in this second game as far as her offensive capability.
Defense there very porous as regular Bell finds the line.
She just sent a rocket down the line down there, and the libero, try as she might, wasn't able to return it.
Now the offensive go, the Cubans, and this time the ball does touch and finds the back end portion of the Japanese half, and the Cubans are now just a point away from wrapping up this second set. Nakatomi sends it to Fujiyoshi. Torres. Ruiz. Nice block again. Regular Bell, and the ball landing inside the Japanese half. They must be a disappointed lot to concede the second set.
I don't think they're really that disappointed. I think they probably could have had it. Like I said, when you get 1 or 2 down, when you're this close to the end of that game, around to the 15th part, you got to watch what's happening.
So the Cubans now lead by 2-0 against the Japanese. Be sure to join us for set number 3. Japanese 15-3, and a very good scoreline the second set. The Japanese really making the Cubans work hard for that 13-15 eventual defeat by the Japanese to the Cubans.
And they're going to be thinking one way or another. They're going to be thinking, boy, I should have won it. Oh, me, oh, my. I might as well go out in 3. Or they're going to say to themselves, look, I came within 1 or 2 of doing it. This is the best team in the world, arguably. If I can come in 1 and 2 and do it, why can't I go a little bit harder and make it happen? On the other side, the Cubans, they have a history of getting a little bit mentally lax. They just start making a lot of mistakes that they get into ho-hum type of thinking. If that happens here, who knows?
Well, going back to the previous meeting in Sendai, the Cubans won that one by 3-1, so it is within means and the power of the Japanese to come back. It would be to their credit if they do manage to pull a set back against the Cubans. This third set will be important here for the Japanese. Libero still in play here for Japan.
Very much,
Kazumi Nakamura.
very much a part of their playing strategy, libero, probably more so than any team we've seen so far, Tay.
Definitely so. The other listed libero in the Japanese team, Mika Saiki, not preferred today. It is Kazumi Nakamura who takes to the court here. Nakatomi going there for the ball right at the net, along with Regla Torres. Position going to the Japanese. Squero down to Torres. Torres again, the floater. Bell. Fujiyoshi, and the ball comes off the Cuban blockers again.
Well, if you notice that one, I don't think we'll see a replay on it, but virtually all 6 players from Cuba were beyond that secondary line. They were almost having spike drills back there, and it ended up costing them. Here again, you're just not seeing many coming up. They're starting to play a very deliberate spike offense from that second line, and the Japanese are picking up on it.
Regla Torres serves. Into the nets, and that will be point for Cuba.
Cubans sort of just playing volleyball with this team like they have not a great deal of respect for what they can do to them. I don't think that they feel that there's much the Japanese can do, even though they squeaked it through 15-13. Like I said, the mental side of the Cuban game is suspect. When they get a little bit lazy mentally, they start making mistakes, and everybody starts playing as an individual rather than as a team unit.
Well, just before this rally, we saw another error in serve there from Torres. He was talking about mental strength. I think Torres must be a little perturbed now that she has chalked up 5 errors in serve in this particular match.
She's had her share tonight.
Fujiyoshi, and blocked at the net.
But then
Bell.
And here you see, you know, in terms of overall games, I mean, let's be frank about it. The best overall scorers in attacking and blocking, you're looking at 10. Number 10, Torres ranked 3, and right behind her, Regla Bell ranked 6 in this overall competition. So, I mean, anytime they want to, they can start finding that power zone and start making things happen. They just did there.
Cubans still edging in front here in this third set. Just 1 point. Error again in serve by Regla Bell now. So the Japanese have got to capitalize on this feature. Ball coming to Ruiz. Hardly see the Cuban smile. That's one for a change.
And the game's sort of in a flat spot right now. Neither team wants to assert itself. They're playing sides here.
Akero, Ruiz again, good block. The raised arms there of Obayashi and Tajimi, meaning that the Japanese blockers have done their bit. And that return was very nicely punished by Tajimi right at the net.
As a result of a weak set, you know, it was just an attempt to set, and she hit the ball too far, and the Japanese very alertly quick attacked it and got a point.
Nakatomi, reverse setting here for Obayashi. She's the intelligent one, knowing just when to come up with something a little different.
Well, you had 3 blockers up there, and they were able to get the point through their defense, essentially.
Torres. Obayashi, this time down there to Ogaki. And that will be another point, again, for the Japanese.
Japanese starting to show a little bit of a rhythm here, taking that side spike. It was well executed. I didn't pick up who that was, did you? It was the far player on that side. In any event, it was a great shot, and it's starting to, here it comes again. Now they're going to go right down the center with them, Tay.
Nicely touched down by Tajimi, and again, the Cubans not with a lot of power, but that Ball coming off the hands of Tajimi as well as Obayashi. Again from Yumika Ruiz. Cubans starting to tone down just a little here in the third set. Nice return by Nakatomi. Set again for Ruiz. Now for Obayashi. Nakamura, the libero. Costa. Ruiz. And the ball went long and wide.
And we saw in that series very, very good sets on the part of Saiki Mika, who sometimes plays the libero, but today is out there wearing number 11 jersey as one of the regular players. She is a very, very fluid player and can get these Japanese players moving from side to side, as we just saw them, for the balance and the attack.
Kasmari Aguero with the ding shots that went straight into the net. And she presents the 5th points to the Japanese. 5-2 it is. You're watching ESPN. 2. 3-point lead. It got to keep coming at the Cubans.
I think the libero opted not to go after the ball, thinking it was going to go out, and it cost her, so you got to side out now. Cubans are in a little bit of danger. I don't know how much danger you'd say, but right at this moment, it looks like the Japanese rhythm is a little bit tighter. You can see this breakdown occurring a bit. You see that what I say, when a team as talented as the Cubans starts to get outside of themselves, that is, they don't look for each other to help one another, you start seeing this kind of individualistic play, and it breaks things down. And you're seeing it happen here. They're just very sluggish right now, mentally. I think it's all mental. It certainly isn't got anything to do with the individual talent.
Japanese, on the other hand, playing an inspired third set here. Fujiyoshi is the last player to send the ball back into the Cuban side, but now the Cubans have the side out.
Fujiyoshi going for the block. Ball just errantly went off the side.
3-5. And this error in serve continues with Regla Torres.
She just had a miserable night on the service line, and I think she just sat down. That, I think, has got something to do with just not going into disconnect, not being there.
Soila Barros, the libero for the Cubans, coming in place of Regla Torres. The entire Cuban squad not having a good outing here in the third set. Even as I speak, the delivered warning to the Japanese.
She sent a missile over, didn't she? That was a tomahawk, just went over the top of that net. She just let them know that they might be slipping at the moment, but they haven't given up the ship here.
Great battle at the nets, won by Aki Nakatomi. A two-handed push that pays dividends for Japan. 5-3. Reverse sets. Now, and Nakatomi annoyed the effort didn't come off.
She was mad because she was up there. She had the timing. Everything was right, but she wasn't able to position her hands quite correctly so she could block the ball cleanly.
Nice touch in. Barros. Reverse sets. Well powered down. There was really no chance for the Japanese player to far end.
Yeah, but Saiki Mika over there was really doing a dance, wasn't she? She was blocking. She tried a little dink shot. She made a save that was very, very good, a dig. It was excellent. Unfortunately, it didn't lead to a point, but doesn't matter because you see here again the sluggish Cubans are allowing them to continue to build.
All the players taking turns to create errors in the service. And this time she was in two minds as what to do with the ball, Melanie Costa.
And you remember, Tay, when we saw them playing a Chinese the first time, and I told you we got a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde deal going here? I think Mr. Hyde's now starting to make his grand entrance. Cubans are not playing well at all. And it's got everything to do with just being there on the court and saying, I'm here, I need to finish this thing out or go on home, one or the other. Here we start to see a little bit of it with Fernandez. Let's see if they can build on that now.
Give credit to the Japanese, too, for this comeback of sorts here.
Oh, no way around it. You're absolutely right. What's been holding them around has been them stats. It's been those good digs, good blocking, and where they can, taking opportunities to get the spike working.
3 points, Cubans trail. Nice block job here at the nets. Torres back in play.
Good set, but Ito's spike was just minimal for this standard. She needs to work on that and build it into be a little more threat than what we just saw there.
Bell. Nakatomi down to Fujiyoshi. And ball deflected out by Torres.
And here again, Fujiyoshi starting to show the other side. Incidentally, both she and Obayashi are lefties, and they're coming in there, and they're not afraid to come from that second line position and go for the spike, and they both got enough power to be a factor now. Good dig.
There's Obayashi. And now Nakatomi setting it for Ito. And the ball bouncing off the body of Ito, who was trying to get it out of the way. That's Psyche for the matter.
But what I like about the Japanese, it doesn't matter what's going on, how it's happening, they're always having a good time. They enjoy what they're doing out there. It's very obvious.
And Kobayashi certainly enjoyed that. Powerful spike down. And the scoreline remains at 7-5 to Japan.
Ball almost went out. Well played.
Points now. Rather from Ruiz.
Well, when you play the Cubans, you just walk into it saying, well, there are going to be players that are going to get theirs no matter what I want to do. When you go up against a world-class club like this, whether it's Ruiz or Bell or Costa, whoever, one of them is going to get theirs. And tonight it's Regulatory's getting her share, Bell's getting her share.
There's the new girl, Idami Gato, and she didn't quite find success there in that spike.
Getting her first touch, not quite where she wanted.
Gato coming in for Ruiz.
But that was a block that made it happen. Obayashi, you see coming around again, smiling, happy, glad to be out there. Got all those pearly whites showing.
Great defense by the Japanese second time round. And it came again off the hands of Fujiyoshi.
And that kind of playing attitude's infectious, Tay. It just builds and it builds and it builds.
Torres, there are 3 Japanese members going up for the block, and finally a cross-running spike. That one deflected off Fujiyoshi back into the Cuban side for a point to Japan. 10-5 it is. Join us for the climax to this set in a moment. Hall, the swing is certainly going Japan's way here in the third set. They trail 2-0 against the Cubans, but lead here by 10-5. Nakatomi nicely blocked and send it down there for a winner. Yet again from Maki Fujiyoshi.
Fujiyoshi really starting to show herself out here, showing that she's got the ability to be able to spike with the same kind of tenacity that Obayashi can.
And a point going Japan's way again. The ball going into the net. And look at that jig.
Yeah, you know what? If they've got these $5,000 things for different things, best blocker, best spiker, best team, I think they ought to have $5,000 for the best attitude, club attitude. And if it were for my money, I'd have to put it on the Japanese. As far as the Cubans go, they just got to hold their mud out there a little bit. I mean, they're just breaking down here. Everything's falling apart. And I think they've just sort of turned mentally lazy, and the Japanese are really building a momentum behind it. Whether they'll win it or not, another matter. Right now, they seem to be driving along. They're cruising.
Coach Perdomo has sent on another veteran, Lilia Izquierdo, the Cuban number 4, coming in place of Tasmaris Aguero. So 2 new players in the Cuban lineup for now. Nice block by Torres.
Yeah, it looks like somebody gave Torres with that block is sending out a little wake-up call to her club, because they're looking at the scoreline and they're saying, whoa, what happened here? We were just fine, and now all of a sudden we've got this team starting to show us how it's done.
Well, the 2 softballs going at it. Regular Bell right into the hands there of Obayashi. Still a 5-point difference. Cross-running spike there from Tajimi. And that one goes long from Regla Bell.
Regla just went, I don't know what she was thinking on that shot. She looked like she had enough positioning to be able to really sky and angle it. Instead, she went for some kind of a blooper. It was a bit sloppy, frankly. Not normally what you would see from a player of her caliber.
But this time, just well. The ball coming from Tajimi. Touch back into the Japanese side. Nice defense there from Obayashi. And this time, Fujiyoshi plants the ball wide.
I think this is a private session here on getting ready to get out there in the field. I'm not quite sure what that was. Either cheerleading that they do on the side, or they're getting ready to come in the game.
Looks like the substitutes in the Japanese team all raring for action. But against these Cubans, only the best will do for the Japanese. Now in a very good position to bring the set scores to 2-1. Only 2 points that's needed for the Japanese.
And again, it's been Fujiyoshi that's come through there and put some balance into this offensive attack. And this is what I think is maybe a preview of things to come. If she can continue in this role, Japanese club side is going to look a lot different in the coming days.
Beautifully done by Nakatomi. And Idami Gato could only carry the ball out. A great dive there from Saiki, and eventually the Japanese come to within set points. And the push down from Nakatomi, and it's 15-7, the third set going to Japan.
Well, they pulled it off. They certainly did, and they did it very, very convincingly, Tay.
And 2-1. We'll be back for more action in a moment. The third set, 15-7. I just wonder, Steve, if that win by Japan will serve as a wake-up call for the Cubans at the start of this fourth set.
Yeah, but the thing about the Cubans that we've seen this happen so many times in watching them play, they just have that light switch kind of thing going on in their heads. And once they see the urgency of something, they just have the power to just put the pedal to the metal and get after it. And whether they're awake or not now, I don't really know. It's really hard to tell. We just saw Regla Bell a few moments ago, number 8, with that expressionless look, and you don't know what they're really thinking. Their play tends to demonstrate it. Let's see what they do.
Japanese would do well to continue plugging away, just like they did in the third, which bears results eventually. Down 1 point here in the fourth. 2-1 down overall. Another demonstration of the power provided by Idami's Gato.
Coming in, look at her get up there. We haven't seen much of her, but like the typical profile of the Cuban players, she's got that ability to really sky and hit those angled spikes, which are very, very tough to defend.
Busquedo, Bell, a one-handed save there by Saiki. Now Obayashi. Another great save by Saiki. Obayashi again. And she found space this time to punish the Cubans.
Well, Obayashi playing right in the middle of the bell curve, so to speak, doing what she does best, catching that line. Nothing new about that, except they need more of it, and maybe a little more from Fujiyoshi to keep themselves competitive in this next game here.
Regla Torres coming in for the serve now. Let's see whether she can make a success of this after so many failures. And the trend continues.
Well, she's going to have to sit down and look at the films and figure out why she's made so many mistakes. It's good she's making them now, I suppose, against a lesser team. But that type of sloppiness, it can hurt an organization after a while, and the players get frustrated with it.
Ana Fernandez. Great power. And the ball falls back to the Cubans. Nakamura, nice touch there, and the ball goes out. Last touch there by Valeris Costa. Fujiyoshi, a driving force alongside Obayashi. Regular bell, and the Japanese there really caught off guard. Cubans just managing the 1 point so far here in this 4 sets. Now go hunting for point 2. Obayashi, nice setup for Nakatomi, and the ball falls out there to the delight of Nakatomi.
She's had some success at that several times tonight. She's been able to read that Cuban defense and be able to change a pace and get them out of position for the point. And she hasn't always played power volleyball. She's used her head a lot.
There she is again, setting up for Obayashi. And straight there into the body of Bell.
Obayashi loves to get off on that second line or that baseline area and come up with that spike. She stands 1.82 meters. Well, I guess that stands about 6 feet. She's able to get up over with the kind of tenacity you need to get a point. Fujiyoshi there, you see her working through. She's another one that's got, looks like she's got the same potential. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're both left-handers. Yes, they are. That's a little bit of an edge for him as well.
Izquierdo now setting it out, and the Cubans have got that nicely wrapped up from Marlenis Costa. Anna Fernandez. Nakatomi sends one down. Torres, the ball balancing nicely on the net there. And finally, Izquierdo the culprits. And the Japanese have a side out.
Japanese are very much in the hunt. There's no reason they can't continue this winning situation here and keep doing the same things that they did, because I don't think the Cubans are out of the funk yet. I still think they're over there walling around. They're in la-la land a little bit. And if the Japanese can get some points and string a few, it could get real interesting.
The last points there delivered down by Torres. Just interesting to note that she certainly letting the serves affect her today. Her spikes down not as powerful as we've seen.
And all of those Cuban players are kind of showing that ho-hum expression about this game, even now.
2-1 it remains to Japan. The ball there nicely pounded down there by Lilia Izquierdo. Delmis Gato. Cross running spike there from Saiki. And
whistle on the plays pointing to Tajimi, number 12. Apparently she touched the net there, Tay.
So that will go down. A point for the Cubans. 2-all here in the 4th set.
That's a great dig. She's still in the point, but here comes a big spike from somebody.
Izquierdo. Japanese defense holding strong. Saiki. And the ball went long and wide.
Well, in the pregame here, when we were talking about when the game was just started, we talked about Saiki. At that time, I thought she was going to be a libero. She got that roundhouse or windmill kind of spike, and you just saw it there. Unfortunately, it went long on them. Here again, they're letting them back in the game. They're just not mentally playing very, very good volleyball right now, the Cubans.
And the Delmis Gato also joining in the long list of Cubans have not served well today. And Torres is going for the serve again.
She comes right down the center. She decides to challenge the 2 blockers and does. Gets an open area. Again, yet another. I think the stats on Regla are, I think I'm being kind by saying they're horrendous. I mean, she must have missed 10 tonight, if not at least 10. Wouldn't you say, Tay? She's very close to that number.
Definitely so, and she's going to create a record of the wrong kind if she continues to produce serves like that. Saiki, and well, the ball lands wide again from Fujiyoshi.
I think it would, the coach must be happy with that, because she's seeing this player starting to emerge. She can really nail it. She's providing some nice balance to the offense.
Nakatomi sending it to Fujiyoshi again. Nice stick from Torres, playing it safe for Bell to pound the one down. And no Japanese can send that ball back into the Cubans' half. And it's Cuba who leads in the 4th set by 5-2. Join us for more in a while. It's not long, but into the net. So another poor serve by Lilia Izquierdo.
And I tell you, I don't know how many opportunities the Japanese are going to get, but they're getting this game handed to them on a plate, and they're not taking advantage of it. When the window is this wide, you need to be able to climb through it and do something about it, but the Japanese don't seem to be able to find the right type of offensive strategy, and frankly, the Cubans are lucking out.
Obayashi coming in from behind, and this time the ball lands wide again from Tajimi.
Tajimi went for it. I like the idea of them coming off those spikes and deeper into the court area. It's starting to show me some dimensions we didn't see in the first game, and of course they lost that one 15-3.
And the ball
is good, I think.
The line, just on the line for Malenis Costa.
It's like tennis. Anything close, you need to play it. The player opted to let it go. Of course, in fairness to him, you know, I don't think Obayashi was near it. It was just a well-placed spike.
Nakatomi setting it up for Saiki again. And this time catching Bell at the far end of the Cuban half.
I think Aguero over there missed it. Much more to the point I made about the Japanese, they went for it, but they weren't able to get it back.
Nakatomi serving wide again.
No time for unforced errors. This is not the time you do it. You don't know how long that cloud's going to be covering this thing in terms of the Cubans, in terms of their mental frame of mind. Once it opens up, it's all over.
Winner now from Obayashi into her opposite number, Malenis Costa. Reverse set up for Torres, electing to go for the touch. Saiki, and the ball spinning and finding a spot in the Cuban half.
And that's what thrills the hearts of the Japanese who come to watch and love this game so much. Look at that. She sort of angled it to the side, you know. It was sort of a, I don't know, what kind of spike you'd call that. It was a side spike to me.
Japanese come again. Obayashi not successful the first time round. And the second time now, the Cuban blockers again read that beautifully. And Kato and the Japanese girl, they're nearly crashing into the team bench.
Fujioshi slamming her hand down, unhappy because, you know, they were in the point. They really don't want to get out of rhythm now. And here she comes, and you can see it. And if just behind that, you see her slap the floor in disgust.
Saiki sending the ball back into the Cubans' camp for a side out back to Japan. Plenty of action and entertainment here in the fourth set. And a nice touch again from Tajimi.
Tajimi coming over just the top of it, seeing that she's not going to go through it, so she just dinks it, and it was a well-touched ball. Found the open area. Cuba still up by 1.
Izquierdo setting it for Bell. And Nakamura is a picture of dismay.
Well, when Regla Bell decides she's going to take that spike cross court, she owns it. She is the boss. 3 defenders up there, and she's still getting her point.
And that's nicely powered down by Fujiyoshi.
Fujiyoshi's really starting to show how to play this game. I mean, I'm really impressed with what she's done, aren't you, Tay? She's starting to show a lot of balance. Good serve on the part of, I believe that's Obayashi. And now the Japanese are starting to, again, build that momentum we saw bring them through to the win in the last game.
Along with Obayashi, Fujiyoshi certainly has been the next best player in the Japanese side. The others playing good supporting roles as well as Tajimi. Lets the ball go out from a grasp. Side out back to the Cubans. Fujiyoshi electing to go for the touch, which had Lilia Izquierdo going now on all fours, but no success.
Well, as my sainted mother from West Virginia used to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, she just did it again. She figured it out, and it's cost them. And that's also a sign the Cubans are not adjusting. They're still not mentally as sharp as we've seen them in the past. And the Japanese now, for the first time, are starting to really start to show that that winning mentality again that got them through.
Great block again, which provides the winning point for the Japanese. And this time, a nice left-handed touchdown there from Melanie Costa.
Costa saw the right way. She wasn't going to mess around with the set. She just able to dink it over, got into the open area for a side out.
Cubans looking now for the points, which will take them even. Nicely set up again, and the Japanese are fooled yet again. Adam Fernandez.
Cubans deciding to play a little more of your in-your-face type of volleyball. They just got the dink put on them. Now they're turning around and showing that they can return the favor.
Obayashi. Now Nakatomi setting it now for Fujiyoshi. Not quite accurate enough.
Let her hit. She's really, I think she's starting to build her confidence. I really do. She's starting to think, well, you know, maybe I can do this, you know. I can do this on a regular basis. And if she can, you're going to be opening up an offensive strategy.
Whatever the outcome, the Japanese coach must be pretty pleased with Fujiyoshi's contribution tonight. And again, the Cubans powering down from Gato. That's 8 points for Cuba now.
And I can see why Coach Perdomo brought her in. That was a fast ball to the corner. It just was a rocket that came over.
Nakatomi back setting it in. And that will go out for a side out to Japan. Great effort from Tajimi. Now Japan will have to do the chasing. 6-8. Torres, Izquierdo, and it will be a point for Japan. Lelia Izquierdo there unfortunately got her hands entangled in the net.
And my sense of it right now says that this is a critical part of the match for the Japanese. That they've got to stay knotted up or close to knotted up to be able to pull it off. They can't allow any kind of spread now.
Lenny Costa making sure that the service returns to the Cubans.
Okay, now they're down 8-7, the Japanese. This next series here, I think we ought to watch carefully, see how it comes together.
Nakatomi setting for Saiki again. Gato, Izquierdo, Costa. Great defense by Tajimi. Izquierdo again. And that just finds the far end of the Japanese court. A big blow to the Japanese.
It is, and it's a game of inches, just like all sports literally are. It gets down to that. But now you got a 2-point deficit, and you got to run here. You see, almost another error here. Let's see what happens.
Saiki again. Big one comes off Obayashi and Ito, and that is a point for the Cubans, 10-7. The exciting climax to this match in a moment. Join us. In this fourth set, the Cubans now enjoying a 3-point advantage over the Japanese. Look like they are pulling the strings here and calling the shots.
Well, they're waking up a little bit, and the thing of it is, if the Japanese don't shut it down quick, they're going to run away with it. And this is the explosive power of the Cuban team. I just don't know of anybody, maybe except for the Brazilians, that can do this. Once they get a run on you, look out.
Costa. And 2 times, Japanese defense stood up to the test. Nakatomi, Ito, Izquierdo again, Torres.
And the Cubans, simply put, have a killer instinct. They'll sit there and languish. They'll give you this ho-hum expression. They'll do all of these things. But all of a sudden, once they smell a win coming their way, they just know how to flame it up, and you're into afterburner. They're gone. And this is what the Japanese are about to experience here, it looks like, because they're starting to string it. It's not over till it's over when you play a team like the Cubans today. It just simply isn't.
Well, Coach Perdomo has done well in bringing on Izquierdo, number 4, and Gato, and they seem to have blended very, very well with the rest of the teammates. Japanese coming back now must show the same resolve which they did in the third set. Saiki, and the ball again sent back by Malelis Costa.
And it's infectious. You see, a few minutes ago, you couldn't buy a point. Everybody making mistakes. Who's this on the serve? Is it Torres, Regla?
Looks like it's Torres. No, it's not Torres. Torres there right in the middle, going there for the offensive. And that is a point. An error by Saiki at the net. And the Cubans are now...
They're stringing them. Yeah, they are stringing them. Here it is, 14-7. What happened?
Nakamura trying to keep the Japanese in, and they did well. Going up high there for the ball, Naomi Ito. Now keeping the Japanese hopes alive. Gato going there for... But the ball was mishandled by Gato.
It was a poor set by Gato. Or I don't know if she was the set. I think she was the spiker. In any event, she wasn't able to get up properly and take the shot. Here again, another poor set.
Obayashi, and the ball spins out of play off the hands of Gato once more.
Gato, the recipient of a couple bad set, and then herself executing poorly, allowing the Japanese to build some rhythm here.
This time meeting with success at Malelis Costa.
We haven't heard anything about her spike power, and then all of a sudden there she comes, and she hurts you right down the line. Here we are. I believe we're at match point.
And again, the Japanese survive. Second match point here. Naomi Ito serving now. Costa, and the ball straight into the body of Nakatomi.
Nakatomi couldn't, right at her ankles, not a thing she could do. That ball had top spin, had pace.
Change here for the Cubans, and she has done her part. Lilia Izquierdo, and this is Francis Melka coming into play here for the first time in this match. Running spike from Obayashi.
Looking for a good set from her. She gets it. Still in it.
Torres now for Merka. Japanese response was swift and effective.
Merka getting a chance for the game ender, but I really think she was brought in there to set either Regla or Torres, whoever came first, but it didn't work out that way. She had the chance to win it, but wasn't able to do it.
Torres comes powering ball down, and the much shorter Maki Fujiyoshi could only stand and stare as the Cubans now with another match points.
And again, Regla Torres is finding everything except the inside of that court. Unbelievable how many errors she's had off that service line tonight.
She's done everything well except the service. And Regla Bell pounding the ball down beyond the reach of Saiki.
Stoic expression, never changes, never see her smile. She's just a predator. She's, as I say, what you do have to admire with the Cubans is this killer instinct. They can smell a win. They've been sitting on 14 here for the last couple minutes. Let's see if they can end it now.
Lilia Izquierdo coming back onto the court, and the Cubans don't have enough to wrap up this match. Is back to the Japanese in serve.
And that's why I think these Japanese are going to be a sleeper. They're coming on. They really are showing a great unit mentality and tenacity. They keep getting hammered. They keep looking at those mortars coming at them from Regla primarily, but yet you still see them coming back. Are they going to close it this time? We'll see.
Regla Bell serving for the match again. And again, the Japanese did good off the hands of Ana Fernandez. And Fujiyoshi takes back the serve for Japan. 9-40. Izquierdo, nice touch there. Kept in play by Saiki. Obayashi now. And unfortunately into the net by Tajimi.
She's too far out for that shot. She pulled it out. She got a little bit enthusiastic about it, and it hurt them. Of course, they've been stuck here at 14-9 for about 3 minutes now.
Saiki again, nice touch. Can the Cubans finally wrap it up? And indeed, it's Merlenis Costa who does the job for the Cubans. Finally, after the Japanese provided some very, very stiff resistance.
They are showing signs of waking up to becoming a very strong team.
Today, Japan plays second fiddle to the Cubans. They lose by 3-1. Post-match Prix. Hello, everyone.